Hi, Leanne here again. How are you today? Good, I hope. I'm going to be answering some questions. These are genuine questions. I did put a message up on Facebook asking if anybody had anything they wanted to ask in my capacity as an intuitive consultant, just so that I can show people how it works, okay? I'm not going to identify the questioners. But they will know who they are because obviously when they watch this video, they'll know their own question. So I'm going to start. I've got three questions, and one of them, which I'm going to save till last, is a real biggie, to be honest. Okay, here we go. I've written them down because I use a Chromebook and I can't figure out how to get the camera up and get my Facebook up at the same time. It's just not happening. So I've had to write the questions down, okay? Technology. Right. Are we ready? The first question is, I know about the law of attraction, the way it works and so on. I'm always willing to help others. I'll help anyone in any way I can. I'm the sort of person who helps people even if they've hurt me in the past. And I know what it is I want and where I want to get to be in life, but I don't seem to be able to move forwards. I was wondering why that is, as it seems I take one step forward and five steps backwards. What can I do to help myself? Okay, good question, isn't it? It is a good question because I know I've felt that way myself at times in the past, and I know loads and loads and loads of others who do as well. Okay, well, you know, we've got to break this down into parts, really, haven't we? So you say you know all about the law of attraction, but I'm wondering what you really do understand, because there's a very, very simplified packaged version of the law of attraction out there. And if anybody who reads my blogs, watches my videos, or hears me yatter on, anybody who's had consultations with me will know that I say I've started to call it the energy of attraction, not the law of attraction, because it is an energy. It's not a law that's written down somewhere in stone. It's an energy. It's just part of how the universe operates. And when I say the universe, I mean the physical universe. Now, here's the thing. We are a part of the universe. So that energy applies to us. And how do I put this simply? You're always willing to help others and you will help anyone in any way you can. You say, I'm even the sort of person who helps people even if they've hurt me in the past. Intuitively, I understand from your energy that you're an incredibly sensitive person. When I say sensitive, I don't mean the sort who bursts into tears at the drop of a hat. And yet it can seem like a generalization. But there are people on the planet who just automatically feel things differently than others do. It's a fact. People can poo-poo it, but it's a fact. And you are the sort of person, you using your phrase, I'm the sort of person who does this. You're the sort of person who doesn't want to let anyone down, and you feel that you have to be incredibly forgiving. And I wonder whether that is just something that's within you, that you feel guilty if you say no to anyone, or whether it is tied up with your belief in the law of attraction. But I'll tell you anyway, intuitively, what comes to me is that you're a naturally very creative person. Now, all human beings create. When I've got my eyes shut, by the way, I'm focusing. I find it easier to see what I'm saying with my eyes shut. That's how I work, with my eyes shut. I see, when I say creative, all human beings are creative. That's what we are alive to do, to create. As I say, a meal, a mess, a war, a business, a situation, whatever it is, we're always creating. But when I say creative, I mean somebody who has ideas, somebody who has got a fairly strong connection with music, with nature, so I always say that we are a soul, and the reason we're here is to develop our spirit. And our spirit is the only thing we take with us when we die. And our spirit is a relationship we develop with life. And you'll find that people who really are expanding their spirit, they tend to be enthusiastic, they tend to be childlike, not childish. There's a big difference. Childlike, curious, and have a fascination with nature, with music, with creativity in general. And I feel that you are one of those people. And I feel that you also, you believe there are two types of people in the world. Well, maybe there's a grey area as well, but often people fall into two categories. One lot of people take no responsibility at all for their own behavior or their own actions. We all know people like this. All of us, we may work with them, we may have them in our family. Some of us have been that way sometimes ourselves as well. So we then would have higher expectations of other people than we do of ourselves, and we will not take responsibility for what we set in motion. I know somebody recently who's been trying to communicate with somebody, and you know, they're trying to express something in a quite valid way, but the other person, the response constantly is, oh, it's not me, it's the way you're reacting to me, that's what's causing the problem, you're upsetting me because of the way. And it's a deflection, isn't it? It's that I'm not taking responsibility for the action I'm setting in motion. And I kind of just watched this from the outside. And maybe they'll muddle through and find an answer. But if it continued like that, eventually there would be a lot of tension in that relationship, which could even push it apart. Now, that's what happens when we're the sort of person who doesn't easily accept responsibility for our own actions. However, you are on the other side of the fence, and you're one of those who takes way more than your share of the responsibility. I can see that intuitively. You're taking way more. And when you say, I know what it is, what I want, and where I want to get to in life, let's go back to the energy of attraction. It isn't, I don't know. We're not speaking to one another. So I don't know what you believe to be true about the law of attraction. I don't know what you believe you know about it or what you don't know about it. What I do know is from this and intuitively, I think there's more for you to understand on the subject. And I recently heard somebody describe The Secret as preschool. And I thought that was a really good way of putting it. So a lot of people leapt on the bandwagon, which is good because, it brought it out into the public domain. Leapt on the bandwagon of the law of attraction, but then but that was only the beginning. That should have been only the beginning of the exploration. And there are a lot of people you can see it on YouTube videos. A lot of people still think the law of attraction is about our shopping list. It's about us. It responds to us. Now, for you here, if you are the sort of person who's helping everyone, I don't care, even if you've hurt me, I'm going to help you. But inside of you, you feel, and I this is intuitive because I can see you doing this, you feel panicky. You think, how am I going to get to where I want to be? I've got all these people who rely on me, and I've got to do this, and I've got to get that right, and I've got to get the other right. And so you're overwhelmed. You're feeling overwhelmed. And you're not as certain about your direction as you say you are, but you can sort that out. So look, life is a work in progress, always, always. Passionate people are often impatient. I know that sense myself. You want to get there, I want to get it done, I want to understand it all now. I just want to be able to know it all now so I can just sort it all out and get it in motion. But it's always a work in progress, okay? And you say, I go one step forward and 5 backwards. Hey, at least you're going one step forward. There are lots of people on this planet who are not doing that, I promise you. And so your time right now is to do what you do now, okay? I'm not suggesting for a second you stop doing things for the people who are helping them, but I think revisit the subject, the energy of attraction. Look, you can read my blogs if you haven't already. You may have done. I have downloads. I've started to put downloads on my website, a couple of quid. That's all they are. Audio recordings, okay? I'm adding to it, and one of them is the energy of the energy of attraction and money. That's a biggie. People are always trying to work out how they attract more money into their life, and I've done so much research on the subject. Okay, I've got one about anxiety. There may be something there. So I'm flogging my business here, aren't I? Touting myself. But what I'm saying is, look, you are a really smart person, and you need to be consistently exposed to the bigger picture. Okay, you want to achieve. you've always been a little bit of a rebel in your way. I can feel that intuitively. Even from being young, you've always been enthusiastic, you've always been passionate, you've always been an ideas person. Even as a little girl, you were aware of the emotional pain in other people, including people who are older than you. You were very aware of it. And you just have to accept that that's you, the soul, that's how you operate. And you're going to shape and form over the next 2-3 years more clearly what you want. And you're going to start coming out of this place. Okay, you're going to start feeling a little more free. You're going to have your little victories. You're going to start seeing things in a slightly different light. And I promise you, if you're going forwards 1 step and backwards 5, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. You know, just stop, take a deep breath, and every day remind yourself of where it is you want to get to and why. Just remember why. Because I think if you and I were sitting talking, I think there'd be a lot of cloudy bits and pieces in there that are muddling everything up that you could pull out and pull out. And then you're going to have to keep pulling them out because they'll come back in again. Pull them out. So my answer to you is, I suppose, in short, is that there's still more for you to understand about the energy of attraction. Okay. You say you know about it and how it works. No, you don't. You know a little bit. Okay. Nobody knows fully, but there's bigger ways of understanding it. And that's fine because you're smart. You will end up being incredibly well self-educated. And that is the best form of education in this world, I promise you. And you will have your victories along the way. You've got a very warm heart, and you want to take, the thing with you is you want to take people with you. This isn't just about you, but at the same time, you're an imaginative person. It's almost like you're a Peter Pan person inside of yourself, you know, and you have to honor that side of yourself. So you play many different roles and you play them well, and you're always observing. Embrace who you are and where you're at, okay? And recognize that for every level you get to, every new recognition, every new understanding, hey, there's another set there ahead of you. Then there's another set. That is how it is until the day we take our last breath. Thank God. Well, at least it is for the people who are growing, not for the people who are plodding along, you know, taking each day as it comes. So all you do to help yourself is you just take a deep breath and go, do you know what? I'm doing great. I am doing great. I'm just going to go back over in my mind what it is I'm trying to achieve. And I'm going to ask myself why I'm feeling so stressed about it. I'm getting there. You know, there's that saying, isn't there? Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay. Just re-examine what you think you know about the law of attraction, the energy of attraction, because all it is, it's life responding to our inner world, to us, what we're really thinking, what we're really feeling. That's where the response is. And I know myself, I have spent years working on certain blocks and certain beliefs that have been holding me back, and I'm still working on them. It's always a work in progress. Thank God. And if you believe in reincarnation, even with another 100 lifetimes, the journey still goes on and on and on. Okay? So that's my response to your question. You're doing good. Right, next question. It's not really, I can't really answer this fully, and I think she understood when she wrote this, but here's the question. I would like to know how or why we are affected by the moon cycle and the planets. Big question, I know, but I am severely affected by the moon and planets in retrograde. Blah, blah, blah. Is this more of a question for an astrologer? Well, yeah, but no. Also, maybe for a scientist. Right. All I can say on that is, yes, it is a fact that human beings are affected by the changing patterns of the moon. Now, there are people who will argue that against that, and there are people who will argue for it. It's one of those things in which, you know, there is an understanding generally that a lot of people are affected by the changing patterns of the moon. And there's a lot of people out there who will say to you, oh, yeah, me too. Me too. I don't know about the planets in retrograde. I can't answer that. I have no idea. But I do know, I remember reading in a newspaper years ago that a particular police force in England, around the time of the full moon, that they actually drafted in extra staff because there were always more incidences of domestic violence and stuff like that. Sorry for keep rocking. It's just something I do when I'm working. When I'm giving a consultation, and I'm sitting here recording it, I just sit there doing that when I'm talking. My eldest daughter said it's a comfort thing. It probably is, but I notice I do it when I'm speaking because I'm in the zone again, aren't I? I'm in the intuitive zone. Here I go. Right. So the moon. So I also know there's a care home not far away from here. And I asked somebody who works there, around the time of the full moon, is there any change in behavior with the residents? And they said, oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, we tend to get them, getting excited or het up an awful lot more. And I know myself, sometimes around the time of the full moon, there's a buzz. It can't sleep at night. My head is going, whoom. As you can tell, my mind's always racing anyway, but woomph. I don't know why. I've heard it's something to do with the gravitational pull and the fact that, we're supposed to have the same equivalent of water in our body as the oceans on the planet. I don't know, but I do know for sure, okay, that yes, it happens. And other people can argue, but it's like, if we haven't experienced something, it doesn't exist. That's true with human beings, isn't it? I remember many years ago when I was having my children, I had morning sickness with all of them. They kind of went on till late afternoon for about 3.5 months, and it was horrible, horrible. And I remember a friend of mine who'd never experienced morning sickness saying to me, oh, I never had you down as one of those silly women that fusses like this. Well, she came so close to having that in her face, I can tell you. But she'd never experienced it, had she? I remember I managed to be pregnant twice in that stage through December, Christmas time. And for a long time, every time I heard the theme tune to The Snowman, I felt like throwing up. Association, yeah? But I digress. That's got nothing to do with this, has it? But the point of that is that people only understand things they've experienced often, or will only accept things they've experienced. And even then, sometimes they still don't. So going back to you, you're quite a high energy person. And it feels to me as if you're always thinking, but your mind jumps from one subject to another to another. Sometimes you're not even finishing conversations in your own head before you start the next one. So anyway, you're quite a high mental energy person to start off with. There's something, I'm not saying you're a big, tough man-like person, but there's something almost slightly masculine in your energy field. I have that within my energy field, too. I know that. I used to work in sales years ago, and there was a place I worked where they called me the testosterone kid. But I feel that for you, it's like you're a big energy person. You can be high, you can be low. When you're in full bloom, you're going, or you're flopping around all over the place. Do you know what I mean? It's one or the other with you. I don't know what the answer to this is. I think maybe it's almost like just ride the wave, okay? And just map it out and just say, right, maybe there are certain times of the year, certain months when there's a full moon, when it's way worse than your reaction is way worse than another. Interesting. See if you can work with it. See if you can find some way of making it work for you, That's the best I can say. Now, how long have I got on here? Okay, I've only got about 10 minutes because this recorder does 30-minute chunks, which is good news. Otherwise, I'd be here for a week. This one, it's a biggie. I'm going to read it quickly. Okay. It's a sad one in a way. I'm in a 12-year relationship with a guy who suffers from depression and anxiety. This has led to numerous bad decisions on his part, and we have come close to splitting up a few times. As a result, we're getting married next year. I've trimmed this down a little bit. He's currently going through a massive depressive episode, and I'm worried sick. All the things he does or doesn't do, can they be attributed to depression? Is it just an illness he has developed for no apparent reason, or are the pieces of a much bigger jigsaw puzzle? Basically, what she's saying also is that whenever he has a really manic depressive episode, something comes out. What does she say here? Some major secret or deception ends up being uncovered. I'm trying to ignore it, but it's becoming more difficult with each episode, and I'm constantly bracing myself for what comes next. Is he simply depressed, or is it the revelations that are causing the episodes? One part of me believes he is ill and deserves support, and I feel guilty when I don't. If I feel bad about him, the other part of me fears that there is a humdinger of a secret just waiting to be released. What I'm asking is he just ill, or is there a deeper secret at the bottom of all of this? Anybody who hears that is going to feel incredibly sorry for both of you. It's really hard. I have personal first-hand experience of people with what I call full-blown depression, as opposed to just being a bit depressed. And they are incredibly hard to reach. And you can see them, they're lost inside themselves. I'm going to have to be fairly quick with this. Look, this guy obviously has really positive qualities, but I do believe that this is not just something that's developed. You know, he's struggling with himself. He really, 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 really is in a dark place at times. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I've got to be careful what I say, but intuitively speaking, I feel that this guy is going through these terrible cycles in his own head. And when he gets a bit better, he thinks, right, I can do this. I want to do this. He's completely well-meaning. He loves you. He does love you. But there's lots of people out there listening would say, oh, for goodness sake, don't marry him. What are you doing? Don't marry him. But you're not going to listen to that because you love him. But you're another person who's taking excessive amount of responsibility. This is a really hard place to be in. As for any major thing to come out, I personally, intuitively, can't come up with anything. I can't feel anything that you need to be incredibly concerned about from the point of view of what hidden or dark secrets are there. And this really is not about that, is it? This is about you going to commit to a man who you are never, ever going to be able to be sure what mood he's going to be in, because he himself can't control it. And of course, I don't know, he may be seeing a doctor, he may be on medication, counseling, psychiatry, all of those things. Yeah, he will already know about all of that. I'm just dealing with this question. Some people are born, it seems to me that some people are born with a much higher leaning toward, I'm trying to find the right words, a bigger leaning towards depression than non-depression. I've had some incredibly tough experiences through my life, but worse, I've put myself through some major crap. Luckily, I have within me the capacity to not go into a major depression. I have been downhearted. Yeah, there have been times when I've thought, oh, what's the point? Let's just go to sleep and not wake up. But it passes very, very, very quickly. I'm lucky. There are other people I see, and I don't think that they're just being miserable. Okay, something that's going on within them, within their brain, within their makeup, and also things that happen in people's childhoods. It can be something that maybe to the rest of the world goes kind of unseen, but to them, it traumatizes them. And research, I've done research on depression because of having association with depression, people with big depression. And, it is true that something can happen in our childhood that can end up it just creates something that we never lose. It traumatizes us. And with this man, I do feel that he's having episodes in his own head. He's really, really struggling to stay with it in everyday life because I'm not saying he's having hallucinations, but things go through his mind. And sometimes he might not be sure whether they're true or they're not true, or they're real or they're not real. And he really wants to be okay. He really wants to get on with life more than anything. And so it's really, really sad. So in answer to your question, if you are going to commit to stay with this man, and I don't think that you're going to break up with him anytime in the near future. I think, I say to people that people leave before they leave. Customers sometimes come to me and say a partner, upped and left one day with no, there was no sign, nothing. They were happy as anything, and then the partner just left. And it's not true. So it could be that either the person who remained didn't see the signs. They just didn't see them. Or maybe they did and they blanked them off. We can do that. Or it could be that the other person was incredibly good at play acting. But I promise you, when somebody leaves, they are always leaving before they leave. And if at any point in the bigger picture, you decided to leave this relationship, you would be leaving a long time before you left. Because even if something happened and you said, you know what, I can't do this anymore, I am leaving you, I am gone, you would leave physically, but intuitively, I know you wouldn't be leaving in here and in here. And so, people leave in here and in here often before they leave physically. Do you understand? because I've given consultations to lots of people who have left their ex and they go, well, I've been strong, I've left them, but they're still thinking about them. They're still wondering what they're doing, or they're still spying on them, or they're still fretting because they've got a new partner. So they've left in body, but they haven't left in spirit. Do you know what I'm saying? And so even if you decided to leave, the leaving would take for you quite a while, because you have become very connected with this man. So I don't know. I can't see any major dreadful secret. And even if I could, I wouldn't say, you know what it is, this is what's going to come out next. I wouldn't say that here, would I? I wouldn't say it. What I feel is he feels like he's drowning in his own life, and he does love you. But, you know, we all can sympathize with you, because this is a really hard thing to do, to love somebody who is in such a dark place. It's hard. It's hard. And you need to do everything. If you're going to stay in this relationship, you need to do everything you can, everything, to keep yourself as up as you can. I just have this feeling that some of the revelations that come out are not really revelations in a way. There may be aspects of his thinking or aspects of his personality. And I've got to be honest with you, and I'm not trying to be hurtful, there is a degree of naivety showing up here. Intuitively, I can see where one part of you is fully aware of all this, and another part of you is pushing things to one side because there's a good side to him. There's a part of him you love being with. There's a part of him that answers something within you. And so you're trying to push the rest of it away. But you're terrified. You're terrified that something can come out of the dark bit into the good bit, the light bit, and blow it out of the water. You know what? I don't think there is. I think that where you're coming from, I think where you're at, whatever he comes out with, I think even if you thought, what? You would still reconcile yourself to it and hang on to the good stuff. Excuse me while I cough. Have a drink of my tea. And so that's how I'm seeing it intuitively. It's a journey. I do feel that some of this responsibility, though, needs to go from your shoulders. So is this man doing enough to manage his own life? Because here's the thing, a lot of people who need help, a lot of people who would benefit from seeing somebody or a counselor, I'm not saying it's him, but a lot of people refuse to do it. And people say, oh, well, you know, I wanted to go to counselling, but my husband doesn't believe in that sort of thing. Well, diddly dee, you know, good for your husband, I say, you know, but it's bloody selfish. It is selfish. Sometimes we've got to be brave enough to say, you know, okay, I'm willing to look inside my own heart and soul, because this is too big for you forevermore, amen. So I think before you get married, this is my advice, rethink it, right? Rethink it. She does say that they don't live together, by the way. If you are going to go ahead with this wedding, I really think that you shouldn't think, this is my intuitive response, okay? It's not my common sense response, my intuitive response. My feeling is that you maybe need to not see this wedding date looming. I think one part of you wants it to all be wonderful and we can get married and we can be happy, but another part of you is terrified of it. It's terrified. A part of you is terrified of this. And I think if you go ahead, if you stay on the current pathway you're on and circumstances remain exactly as they are, you are going to end up being ill before the wedding date because of what's going on in your mind and your heart. And I think at some point, the wedding date maybe needs to be pushed back, okay? And I think some new ground rules. So if you're going to consider this, you've got to look at what needs to be done next. I think you'd both benefit from some form of counselling. That's just my opinion, because I think there is love here. I feel there is love here. I feel that he is a good man, but I feel that there's more help out there that he's not getting. And I think you need to be able to step back a little bit and he needs to do a little bit more. And then, you know, it can be readjusted. Okay. It's going to run out now. I've only got a few seconds left. So I wish you the best of luck. Thank you to the people who've asked the questions. And I hope anybody who's listened, I hope there's something in there for you as well. Thank you very much indeed. And don't forget to go to my website, leannehaleyburton.wordpress.com. You can find me. I've got blogs, audios to sell, you know. Check in with me. Okay? Take care. We've got another few seconds, so I'm going to sit here till it. I'm going to sit here till it's done. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.